Well, here we are on a Monday morning. Now, dear listener, dear viewer, I want you to do something for me. Two things, actually. At the end of this session, there's a little hand, I think, which indicates that you like what you see. Now, even you hit it, I still want you to press that little hand and tell us that you had a great time. Secondly, there's another little button you press for subscribe. And of course, that's very important because that means anytime Pat and myself get together to disperse a bit of wisdom on your email, it'll tell you that it's available immediately, and you'll not be in a pit of ignorance, shall I say. We will spread our light.
Nothing
Okay.
arrogant about us.
Okay, what we're going to talk about today is, surprise, surprise, Joe Biden. And we're going to move from that to Bishop EAMON Casey. Oh dear, my heart sinks. And then third, we're going to deal with a Father MARKO RUPNIK, if we have time. But most of you don't know who that is, but you'll hear about it when we get to it. Okay, let's start with Sleepy Joe, ex-contendant for the new president of the United States. Are you sad to see him go, Pat?
On a certain level, yeah, Jude. But but I think there was an inevitability about it, Jude. His performance on the debate with Trump was absolutely dire. It really was dire. Like, I don't think I've seen worse. Like, he lost track, he lost focus, and you'd think with such what's at stake, he'd be as sharp as a knife. He wasn't, and then I don't know what's happened to you. There's some, there's a friend of mine suggested, that COVID thing that he was allegedly suffering for.
Yeah.
Was that just a front for a couple of days to give him a few days to get out of the spotlight? But anyway, Jude, he looks increasingly vulnerable. When he's walking now, he sort of shuffles, and so on. And they didn't get, and by contrast, Trump was coming across as an alpha male, tough. Particularly after the assassination bid and so on. So, Jude, yeah, I think it was the right thing.
Yeah. Hey, I think he almost gave up himself, at least any shots that we got of him going up the plane steps, he was going so slow and tentatively. It looked as if his legs really might go from under him at any point.
Yeah.
And also, he carried himself, he was sort of bent forward more than I thought he'd been prior to that. And as you say, it's very hard to come back. And the media have played and replayed that terrible shambling 10 seconds. And that in itself is enough reason for people to worry. The pity is that it wasn't done quicker. I'm surprised that the Americans and the Democratic Party haven't got ways and means of pulling the trapdoor quickly if they want to.
Yeah.
It seems they have to almost ask his permission to pull the trapdoor. That sounds to be sort of nuts. It's not that you're not grateful to Joe, but you don't want him to damage the party either. And he was damaging the party for sure.
But it doesn't leave him a lot of time now, does it?
It doesn't. Well, that's a good point now. How long does it leave between now and the election?
In November. This is towards the end of July. Right, let's say August, September, October.
Okay, that's 3 months. And actually, the actual vote is towards the end of November.
No, I think it's mid-November, isn't it?
Mid-November. Okay. So what is it? 2 or 3.5 months?
3.5 months.
3.5 months. Okay.
But America is a huge continent.
I know.
And all the debates and all the getting people in place, canvassing, all the rest.
No, don't buy it. The fact is that in England, on lots of other countries, including Ireland, we managed to do our elections after a 6-week campaign at the most.
Yeah.
Now, all right, that's huge, much huger country. But that doesn't really mean that it has to go on forever. I mean, even Russia's elections don't last that long. There's loads of big countries. Canada is a huge country, far more remote in ways than is the US, but they take a period of...
But Jude, I don't know if that's a substantive issue. Here, the Democrats are going to have to find, I presume, the putative candidate is Kamala Harris. It might not be Gavin Newsom, the the guy who's the governor of California. There's a couple other, I think there was a guy Cooper there mentioned. You know, they have to now go through the whole process of ratifying them, having to get their name out there. Then they're having to start to build up a profile and all across the place. So, okay, you're going to say, well, Kamala Harris has a bit of a profile so far, but not compared to Trump, she doesn't.
Look, David Cameron jettisoned, or I'm going to say jettisoned, but projected himself onto the Conservative stage by one speech where he totally outflanked whoever his opponent was. And it would be a very simple matter for, say there was 5 candidates. Get a bloody debate. Let's hear them. Do an in-depth interview with each one. And that's enough. You know, we really don't need that kind of time. It's just that Americans have got used to it. They've always done it this way. And that reminds me of the Orange Order. They say, oh, we've always marched down this road, therefore we're entitled to march down this road now. No, you're not. And the same applies to the US. Oh, yes, we've always taken 2 years deciding who's going to be the next president. But, I mean, it doesn't have to be that way.
No, I accept that. No, well, a couple of things should know this thing that Joe Biden was a disaster. He, you know, and this last couple of weeks have been a disaster. Do you think they only dropped about 2 or 3 points behind Trump? Like Trump is very much Marmite. There are people who won't vote for Trump no matter what happens. It's simple as that. So the other thing, Kamala Harris, they're saying that, you know, she has no track record, no nothing. She's a 57, 58-year-old former prosecutor. Apparently, she is not as unpopular as the Republicans would have you believe. That she's actually a very capable woman. The other thing as well, she's married. She's of mixed race. She's married to a white man. She, the Republicans, but a whole lot of issues, particularly in regard to birth control and abortion, all that, are very unpopular with a lot of American women. So Kamala Harris could actually strike a nice chord, you know, in a lot of places this time round. So it's going to be very interesting. It's not as open and shut, I think, as some of the Republicans would have you believe.
Well, it's just not. I think it should be a question of having it did quickly. There's nothing to stop them saying, look, we're going to take 2 weeks and we're going to have these guys. You have to have your nomination in by, you know, Friday, and then go from there and let us see the other people. I have an open mind with Kamala Harris. I think she looks very well. She looks right, you know. She's a good-looking woman. She's a fairly strong-looking woman. As you say, she was an attorney general in the California. She's the last 4 years she's been the vice president, so she's got a lot of good background and she's got a high profile. But there are other people, and I have a funny feeling that she will emerge as somehow as a bit weak. What you want is somebody that Trump has never really encountered before. Now, it could be that guy, Newcomb, is it? In California. He could be the candidate. And that, of course, the trouble is...
There's a guy, I think he's called Kelly. What's Arizona. He's a former astronaut. He's a war hero. And he took over John McCain's seat. That's it. He took over John McCain's seat, and that was a red state for years.
Yeah, that's kind of achievement.
It was a red state, and he took it over, and he held it comfortably the last time. Now, the Democrats could go for him. The other alternative, Jude, he would be an ideal running mate as a counterbalance to Kamala Harris. You know, the all-white male, all-American hero. So
I suppose he would, but I'm drawn to the statement. I think it was LBJ said that, you know, that a vice president was as useful as a fifth tit on a cow.
Yeah.
You know, look at Kamala Harris over the last 4 years. What has she done, or what has she appeared to have done? How much have you seen of her? Not a hell of a lot.
But you can't. The president sucks up all the oxygen, doesn't he?
Yeah. I suppose to have somebody who's from a state like Arizona or wherever where they need votes, Pennsylvania would be another possibility. So I can see how that'd be necessary. I just think they should open themselves to the possibility that Kamala Harris will not run as president, might run as vice president. Well, I mean, why should she, if you think about it? The Constitution doesn't say anything about the vice president succeeding the president.
No, but she's almost been sued, and Joe Biden, the outgoing president, has already endorsed her. Now, so far, that nearly gives you the starting blocks for the race. But anyway, it's not a confirmed. She's not a confirmed starter. Barack Obama hasn't come out and endorsed her yet.
That's right. you see, the thing is that people who endorse you have got to be people you really think are terrific. The Americans have concluded that Joe Biden is not terrific anymore. So the fact that Joe Biden has recommended her is almost should be something against her almost, rather than bringing with her the whiff of failure that surrounded Joe Biden at the end.
I mean, now Joe Biden's considered. His actual presidency has been a record number of Americans are in jobs.
Yes, I agree.
That investment is way up.
Yeah.
There was a big infrastructure program announced, and so on. Joe Biden can actually point to quite a successful presidency. It's what was happening down the track. It was Joe's big problem that he doesn't look the part going forward.
Yeah, but that's the problem. You see, we tend to remember what happened yesterday, and we forget about what all led up to yesterday. I agree with you totally, and I know Americans who would say that they really think Joe Biden was a great president. He did so many things in terms of infrastructure and Medicare and so on. It was hard to drop him, but he obviously needed to be dropped. I'm just saying I don't want the idea of Kamala Harris getting a leg up because Joe Biden has recommended her. Joe Biden's not in any fit state, really, I think, at this present moment, to be a sharp judge of character. I think Kamala Harris should go for it, but there should be an equal number of other people that want to run 4 or 5, and let's see them. It doesn't take long. It doesn't take long. We know that from our own elections. Get them out there, get them interviewed, get them to make speeches, and then let them lay out their policy if they were elected, and go from there. You know, that's a matter of weeks, not months. I tell you this, I have a horrible feeling that if they push Kamala Harris, in other words, if they crown her rather than her, I think they'll live to regret it. I don't think she'll beat Trump. I could be wrong now. I hope I'm right. I hope I'm right. But I just worry about her. Maybe her character will emerge, but again, I would say let her character emerge tested with other people, other candidates. I think that makes sense. It's too bad in a way that Gavin Newsom and her can't together run. I'd quite like a ticket which would have Gavin Newsom as running as president and her running as vice president. She mightn't like it, of course, but I think that'd be a pretty good combination, actually. You know, a good-looking big male and a good-looking smart woman as vice president. I think that'd be good. But anyway, what do you think is a likely outcome? Do you think they'll anoint Kamala and go from there quickly?
No, I don't think they'll anoint her, but she's the vice president. She's got the endorsement of Joe Biden.
Yeah.
She's in sort of pole position. It's the easiest shoe fit now, Jude, for the race. They start now holding conventions and start going looking around the place. I'd say I think several states have already come forward. I think there's 2 or 3 already have endorsed her. Yeah. You know, they obviously had emergency meetings last night. So, Jude, I think she's nearly at the starting blocks, and it's going to be very difficult to stop her.
Well, I just like to see if they're talking about this is the Democratic Party. If it's a Democratic Party, it should have another couple of possibilities at least available.
But I don't think it's open and shut totally. But I would say right now it looks like she's the starting candidate.
I tend to agree with you, but I just think it's a pity. Tell us this: if she does run, and whoever her running mate might be, do you think she will win?
She could win, Jude. Trump, as I said earlier, Trump is very, very unpopular. There are certain parts of him, like Jude, he's a 78-year-old convicted felon with a track record of, you know, he's a liar, he's a cheat, he's a narcissist, he's a megalomaniac.
Would he be allowed into the felons club in West Belfast?
Belfast, yeah. You know, but you know, I don't like he's what he's been basically. And a civil court convicted of rape. That what do you call her? That journalist O'Carroll or someone was her name, and you know, and then he's on air as himself as he admits that he grabs women by the pussy. Jude, I would love to know where all these women are who vote Republican and I can vote with that for Donald Trump in good conscience. So as every sexual predator, he's a nice fella.
This is it. See, it's not even a question of, you know, they sometimes say, "Oh, we'll vote for this guy and we'll hold our nose as we do so." Look at those women at that convention in Milwaukee. My God, they thought he was great. They were so excited and
There was
clapping.
people crying in the audience, and I'm going, Jude, I know someone, maybe we should drop it now, but one of the things I think is there's a nostalgia somewhere for the Hollywood version of America. You know that they were brought up as children. You know, mom pie and the white picket fence. You know, the 1950s America, where all of the good guys were white and the black guys knew their position and so on. And I think they want to return to that. And it's the dying kick of that mentality.
I was going to do an article for the Anti-Town News about the way in which Trump and Jim Allister, there's certain resemblances.
Yeah.
That is, both are sort of grumpy looking with their lips stuck out underneath.
Yeah.
Both want a version of yesteryear. Both want, he wants to make America great again.
Yeah.
Jim Allister wants to bring us back to the time when all the Teagues lined up and cheered the orange bands on the 12th. As it's now. So there is a nostalgic quality to the film, which can be very appealing, but it's also very unrealistic.
Yeah.
Anyway, fingers crossed. I say two things. One, fingers crossed they'll make a proper contest quickly to see who's going to be the candidate for the Democrats. And two, I agree with you. I think they can beat Trump if they get people that are fresh enough.
If they get their and they get the message right.
And in fact, it'll be they'll dominate the news because people are sick to death. I don't know, maybe not as supporters, but lots of other people are sick to death seeing Trump on TV. And
absolutely
talking about him. Okay, let's move from the secular world to the religious, the clerical world. Bishop EAMON Casey. I think I met him one time, you know.
Yeah, I've never met him now.
I can't remember now, but I think I remember, or maybe it was that other priest, that priest, was it Michael something?
Michael Cleary.
I always get the two mixed up. Anyway, tell us all about EAMON Casey. We know he fathered a child with an American woman, and that was a terrible scandal at the time. He gave something like 70,000 quid of parishioners' money to this woman to presumably help her raise the kid. And then he took off. Later he came back and settled down and he looked thinner and so on. But now something else has emerged from under the
I think it was the Irish Times broke a story about 1992. And it was a sort of a pivoting point or a crucial point or whatever the word is about the whole relationship between the nation of Ireland with the Catholic Church. And actually, it was a catalytic sort of moment. And after that, I think the Catholic Church was on a downward spiral, which has continued to this day. It's lost a terrible lot of influence. But anyway, bottom line is, I think it was 1992, Casey had an affair with this woman called Annie Murphy, who was, I think, a distant relative of his. And as you said, I think she's about 20 years younger. Fine-looking woman, very, very good looking. Good looking woman. Anyway, they had a child together, Peter. And anyway, Casey basically stole diocesan money. He didn't acknowledge his son at all until he was about 15, which was a crime in a way. But he stole 70 grand to give to Annie Murphy, so I think to educate Peter and so on. Anyway, it was all found out, big scandal, and he went off. I think he was never laicized. He always stayed as a priest. He went off then. He was sent off to Ecuador as a minister or a missionary, and he spent several.
I think he took off to Ecuador rather than was sent. Maybe
whatever. I'm not 100% certain what I think he could be right. And then he was not allowed back to Ireland. He came back to somewhere, and I think Bishop Cardinal Hume, was in charge and allowed him back. Anyway, here's the thing. Tonight on RTE, we thought we knew all about Casey after the Pope's visit in 1979, wasn't it? When Casey was centre stage. And by the way, a man I admired in many ways, great with the homeless, great with looking after people. He had the common touch. And apparently in London, there were those who would say he would give you the shirt off his back. He helped so many people. And that's a fact. It's not bullshit. Anyway, tonight on RTE, there's a program, I think it's called Bishop Casey's Buried Secrets. It turns out there have been quite a few serious sexual allegations about him going back to 1955, particularly involving young girls. And I mean very young girls, including children. One of the people making the allegation is his own niece. another. I think she said he sexually assaulted her when she was 5 or 6 or something. There's another one said the same when she was 15, and apparently, but these were all sort of one woman. She never got a publicity, but she actually, I heard it on RT this morning. Her son was speaking to RT. She went to High Court and all the rest. Now, it never went public, but she actually got, they must have accepted her allegations because she was awarded for £40,000 or something, or €40,000 in compensation and so on. Way back in the day.
By court, Pat?
Court, yet Jude had never got any publicity.
Exactly. So, none of us ever heard of it.
Jude, this is why I'm going to be watching the program tonight to find out what exactly went on. But Jude, it was another example, and you were mentioning that priest there, this priest of the church covering things up, and sort of the institution or was more important than the people. And I think that has been what would you say, a cardinal sin of the Catholic Church.
I think to be fair to them, I'd agree with you on that. That is a crime. It is immorality to pretend that somebody is good and then let them go on and perhaps wreak havoc. But yeah. I would also say that there is that point you made earlier that you take EAMON Casey. He did, and everybody admitted that he did really good work with the Irish people arriving in London. And he was supportive of them. He was a very charming sort of man. So those deeds, I think it's important not to allow those deeds to be wiped out. Yeah. Whatever else he did later on, just like Joe Biden did great deeds. Yeah. Now he's not a good president. But see, well, when you say 15-year-olds, that's pretty awful. But when you say 5-year-olds.
Yeah, well, his niece is 5.
I think 5 or 6. Surely somebody who rapes a 5-year-old girl or child.
Well, I don't know if he raped her, but he probably sexually assaulted her.
I'm sexually assaulting a 5-year-old child. That to me suggests actually, a psychiatric problem.
Yeah.
And yet you get a lot of that, don't you? Very often, people who are sexual predators will be predators against youngsters.
I think if I remember correctly, the niece said he assaulted her from the age of 5 now, and I think it went on for quite a few years.
Why? How do you understand that?
Not at all, Jude. I really don't. I really genuinely don't. I've got grandkids, and I'm going, like, if somebody, Jude, and I'm deadly serious, if somebody went to harm those kids, I think I would go for them myself personally.
Mm-hmm. It's a shocking thing. I don't know. What do you say? The man's dead now. The question I would raise is, why did we not know about it? If he in open court, he was charged with these other crimes besides the one or the liaison with the American woman. If he was charged and convicted of some of these crimes, why didn't anybody know about it? Journalists must have known about it. There are journalists who are assigned, as you know, I'm sure, to courthouse details and what's going on.
But did you see, here's the thing, some of this it seems to have been covered up right, left, and centre. The church, if there was 5 allegations made to the Catholic authorities, why was that all covered up? No, I don't know. I really genuinely don't know how the woman who got 40,000 from, and she took a high court action. Now, Jude, for the life of me, I don't know how that got through unscreened. I really genuinely don't. That's something I'd be interested to find out why it didn't go public.
What would you must have some suspicions as to why. I personally think it's because
that was way back. The woman was way back in the 1950s. So I'm thinking it was a different Ireland.
There's
no point in me bullshitting because I really genuinely don't know. But I would be very interested tonight to see this program, to see what the explanation why it wasn't.
Well, I'll give you money now that the program will not put any emphasis on the fact that these facts were not revealed whenever they occurred or shortly after. When the case was heard in court, that will be glossed over. I think that's a serious failure of journalism to tell us what's going on. And I'd agree with you. You're right. Bishop Casey, Michael Cleary, Father Michael Cleary, and so others sort of breached the dam, and suddenly all the stuff came out. To be honest with you, Pat, now you think I'm naive. I find it hard to believe. people baffle me. I mean, I find it hard to believe that Casey, on the one hand, would be doing all these good works in London, and then at the same time be fathering a child, at the same time be sexually abusing infants. God.
Yeah, but then well, you see, the sexual abuse thing, I can't get my head around. But someone, when it was revealed he had an affair with Annie Murphy, I was thinking, oh Jesus, big deal, big crime. He was a man, and he was heterosexual. In fact, I was nearly happy. It's the guys who abuse children that I had a big issue with the paedophilia. Like a full-blown red-blooded man having an affair with a good-looking woman, a priest. I thought, big deal. So all that proves is a human being with weaknesses.
Well, I'm not sure about that, Pat. I would say I would charge him with a degree of hypocrisy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not excusing it, but Jude, that was on the scale of least offences. That was way down.
Yeah. Isn't it ironic? I remember somebody saying, "Is it ironic that after all the things that emerged with other priests,
that was
they thought, well, at least he wasn't too bad. He just had a child with a woman."
I'll leave you with this one. A friend of mine rang me up, and you know this guy as well. He rang me up one time when I was editing the journal. He says, "McGart, where is the largest concentration of Catholic priests in Ireland?" And I, of course, went Maynooth, and he says, "No, Mountjoy."
You're right. Are you pulling the plug on this now, or are we?
No,
you're leaving that topic. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll deal with the last one. How long are we going for now?
I haven't a clue. Keep going.
Okay. One more item. I'm interested in. Oh yeah, we've got another 10 minutes, but we don't have to necessarily use it. A priest called Father MARKO RUPNIK, RUPNIK. He is famous apparently for his large-scale mosaics, which are on display throughout the world and in churches and all over the place. He now has been either charged with or convicted of spiritual and sexual abuse of nuns.
Yeah.
And Breda O'Brien has an article in the Irish Times today talking about the fact that the art is going to be, his artwork, these big mosaics are going to be, she says they should be covered up until, the judgment is made as to whether or not he was guilty of these things. Do you agree? Does that make sense to you?
No, I'm not so sure about that. I'm not saying I agree with it, but someone like, do we cover up the Sistine Chapel because maybe Michelangelo had an affair with some woman, or sexually abuse? Something. No, I don't know. Jeez, I haven't a clue. Like art. In a way, I'm not willing to go down that road, because I think art is art, and you should, if something is a work of genius, should we? Well, we're going to prove it because the guy admitted as such and such, or the woman who did it was such and such. No, Jude, I don't think we should go down that. Or genuinely, like a work of genius. Like if I hear somebody who's a brilliant guitar player, I need to know his personal life story.
Exactly. I total agreement with you. In fact, we do this on big scale and a small scale. Like you see a great movie, and then you discover that the guy who made it was a really bad person, and sexually abused kids or whatever. Who was that guy that he was a Hollywood producer, and he took off and he's never come back to Europe?
Roman Polanski, I bet you.
Roman Polanski, the very man. And some of his movies are very, very good. And yet he did stuff with girls that simply were illegal. And the great thing that's, I think maybe Breda O'Brien mentions this, that Caravaggio, there's a display of his work on at the moment, actually, in Ulster Museum, or there was very recently. Caravaggio murdered a man. In fact, he used to go out looking for trouble. He stride around the streets of Florence or wherever.
Yeah, he was a very troubled guy. He was a bit of a psychopath. Maybe a bit more than a bit of a psychopath, by the way.
And yet, even somebody like myself that doesn't know anything about art, I look at it and I see the work and I say, geez, that's amazing. That is amazing. And it remains amazing if he was a saint or a sinner or somewhere in between the two. And I think we've talked about this before in terms of football and things. I think people are made up of different sections, different times in their lives. For example, Michael Casey not Michael Casey, but Eamon Casey, Bishop Eamon Casey, and his time in London helping people, and then these stories about him doing this stuff with children. You know, white and black all incorporated in the one man. And I think the same thing applies to any number of people, and probably including myself, actually. Maybe not on that scale. There's footballers who get stroked off because they've done something bad. They beat their the guys who beat their wives. Who was it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who that was. In fact,
there's a wee guy that played for Manchester United. He's now in Italy. I remember his name escapes me. His girlfriend appeared on Twitter with a heavily bruised face. I can't remember his name. In fact, he's only quite a young fella. What's his name? Green something. I can't remember. And anyway, his career at United was over.
Well, do you remember the 3 rugby players that played for Ireland?
Yeah.
And that were up in court for doing all sorts of stuff, threesomes, God knows what, with people. And that was the end of their careers.
Yeah.
Now, see, the way I would look at that is, are they good rugby players? And I'm not giving any endorsement to what they did. I mean, it sort of stank, actually. But I mean, if you're all the time going to be judging people, first of all, you have to have every CV would have to have a sort of signed off by the parish priest or someone who knew their spiritual life. And then you start going to whether they've got the skills necessary for the job. I just think that's crazy.
But Jude, if you wanted to check out the number of politicians and people in public life in recent years who had one face for the public and had a very different one in private, if you want to go down that road, you know.
For goodness sake. Yes, somebody said if we all were to get what we deserve, very few would escape whipping. Anyway, have we imparted enough wisdom to the masses, do you think?
That's it, Jude.
Okay, Pat.
All the best, Jude.
That one? Did we rush it?
No, we didn't. We were perfectly
we measured pace this time. And we've been talking for exactly how long?
Oh, I haven't a clue.
See, time flies and you're having fun, Pat.
All the best, Jude. See you later.